Before we get started, please note that all statements made during this episode, especially those regarding individuals, teams, or organizations, are strictly alleged. Any accusations discussed reflect personal opinion and are not confirmed facts. Fast-Paced Lace is a platform for discussion, commentary, and storytelling, operating under our right to free speech protected by the First Amendment. Fast-Paced Lace assumes no liability for claims of slander, defamation, or misrepresentation.
Welcome back to Fast-Paced Lace, where the dirt's flying, the gears are grinding, and the voices of fierce athletes get loud. Today's episode puts the spotlight on one of the fiercest riders in the game, Lilee Rowley. Known on the track as Orange Crush, she's been tearing up BMX circuits since grade school, and today she's doing it all as an independent rider. After a highly publicized and emotional exit from her longtime team Impact Racing, Lilee's been writing her next chapter on her own terms. In this episode, we're unpacking that dramatic transition, highlighting her standout career stats, diving into helmet safety and why 60 helmets are her gear of choice, and throwing down some rapid fire BMX questions. So tighten those straps and keep your elbows out because this ride's about to get real. Welcome, Lilee.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you. Welcome to
Thank you for
Fast-Paced
having
Lace.
me.
Absolutely. So I wanted to just kind of dive right in and get started into what got you started into BMX at such a young age.
Okay, so actually, I was sitting in my living room when my dad came in and he was like, "Do you want to go watch Chase Anthill?" I don't know if you remember Chase.
Yep, absolutely love
He was like,
Chase.
"Do you want to go watch him?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And literally, we went to Boulder. We were there
Okay.
for 5, 10 minutes, and I was like, "I want to do this." And after that night, it all started.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it. So when you were at Boulder, you were about 10,
I was 7.
7. Okay. You
Yeah.
went expert when you were 10, right?
I don't even know. I went expert not long after I started. It was quick.
It was
So I want
quick
to
move
say
up.
I might have been 8.
8, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you share like what was your first memorable race experience that you had?
Well, honestly, the most memorable thing of starting would probably be the first time I ever rode the track, and
Yeah.
it was at Boulder. And my first 2 laps on the last straight, I looked to the left to see if my mom and my dad were watching, and I crashed. I wanted to make sure
Oh,
they were watching, and they're like, we're watching," and I had to make sure, and that was like the first 2 laps I've ever done, and I remember that so well.
I love that. I love that. Now tell us a little bit how you earned your nickname Orange Crush.
Okay, so I don't know if you remember Tegan Heap. Do you remember her?
A little, yeah.
She does mountain biking now. We both had orange bikes, and we just considered ourselves the Orange Crush Girls. We made like a poster and everything like that. And we were the Orange Crush Girls. And then she eventually went to, the mountain biking and all the other stuff. And I stayed in BMX, and all my gear was orange and everything was orange. And I just became the Orange Crush, and that was my nickname and still is.
It still is. I love it. And I love
Yes.
for everybody that does not know Lilee rides a dynamic orange helmet. Okay, like
Yes.
she stands out. You cannot miss her. You could be in the middle of a race not knowing where you are, and if an orange helmet comes across the track, it's Lilee Rowley.
Yes.
So now tell me a little bit about who were some early inspirations for you in the BMX community. I know you talked about Chase Antill. I'm going out and watching him. Was there any other boys or girls that you looked to? Because I don't know if there were any girls in the area at the time, but were there any other inspirations you had?
Honestly, I would say one of them was Elise Willoughby at the time. She was just always so fast, and I would always
Mm.
watch her, and she was my favorite pro ever. And so I definitely would say her. I don't know if you remember, her name was Jammin' Jordy, I think was her nickname.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yes, everybody remembers Jordy.
Yes.
Jordy
I
was old, like the beginning
loved
of the
her.
careers. Yeah.
Yes. So she was definitely an early one.
I love that. I love that Elise is still very active in the community.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of grow up with your inspiration. So not
Oh,
only
yeah.
being there, but like you've really grown up with her.
Yeah.
Now you've secured some top finishes in some pretty recognizable races from Gold Cup finals, state championships, rock. What has been your proudest podium moment?
Honestly, I would say it was my first ever class win, which was actually recently. It was in Florida. It was the second national of the year, and I went out and I won, and it was like probably the craziest feeling ever because, I've done this sport for 10 years now. So being able to finally do the one thing that I've wanted to do for so long, that was like amazing. And then I was just talking about this with my mom, and my first ever cruiser win at the beginning of when I was doing cruiser was also in Florida. And my first place trophy was big and orange. And I was like, that's just awesome. My first two wins for both classes were in Florida.
And now, right now, you're in the 17 to 20 girls expert class, correct?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that class. It seems it's got
It's
some
getting
controversy
harder.
for the boys. So tell me about it
Yeah,
for the girls.
it's definitely getting harder with the 15-16 coming in, but honestly, I feel like being like the class used to be more of like everybody was so angry at each other and like you had to be angry at each other and you had to be a competitor, but honestly, all of the girls are so nice. Like, yeah, on the track, none of us are friends, but like off the track, everybody is like so cool to each other. They're the best of friends. Like, it's honestly, it's growing and it's amazing. The
That's a
class, like
great
everyone's
dynamic.
so nice, and even in staging, we'll talk to each other, but like a lot of the time we're focused up, and then the second we're off the track, it's like good job. Like it's never really like anybody's like beefing with each other. It's a really nice class, and it's getting harder and it's only gonna get harder, but that's what it is.
That's what it is. You're right. Now, when you went into the 1720 expert class, I know I had touched a little bit on this with True because it wasn't 17 to 20 when you guys were originally at that age. Tell me when it changed, did you have any hesitations about continuing riding, or were you always going to know I was going to try to ride that class no matter what?
I always knew I was going to. It was kind of like my transition into 15-16. Like, yeah, it's gonna be harder. It's gonna be more people, bigger people. I mean, I've always been little, so everyone's
Mhm.
just huge to me. So I already knew it was gonna be hard. And going into 17-20, I was like, it's gonna be hard, but this is the next step, especially when it comes to going pro or doing bigger races. Like, I knew it was gonna be hard. So there was no really thought about it. I was like, you gotta work harder, you gotta train harder, you gotta do what you gotta do.
The one thing that I do want to point out too for our viewers, I want to make note that for the boys class, they move up in single digit years. And the girls, since there's not as many of them at some of the races, they move up sometimes in 2 year increments. So when
Mhm.
Lily's talking about like 15, 16 girls, there's I believe it's 12 and under, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 25 expert. So they're a little bit larger of a gap. When in the boys expert, it's 11 expert, 12 expert, 13 expert. So you kind of have to blend yourself a little bit with at one point you are the younger writer, and then at one point you are the older writer in your groups.
Yeah.
You kind of have that transition that the boys don't really have. Is that a different perspective that plays into your mental game at all?
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, it's all going to be hard. If you want to do the sport, you're going to have to deal with the circumstances that come with it. So, like I said, going into 15-16, I already knew, and then 17-20, I'm like, yeah, like I'm going to be the youngest, but eventually I'm going to be the oldest and it's going to go by fast. So, I wasn't really nervous or anything about it. I knew it was going to be hard.
That's great. Now, do you
Yeah.
have any mental preparation that you like to share or that you like to focus on before a main event or a big race that's coming up?
Honestly, when it comes to like the mental aspect of it, I try not to think about it too much because I know I'm gonna have to go and do the race. I know I'm gonna have to go through something that's gonna be hard. So I try not to think about it, and I kind of just focus on what's important. And if I like all the main events that you go through in 17-20, they're gonna be hard. Like there's no easy main event. Well,
Exactly.
one thing that I do is I don't even look at my motos.
Wow.
I just know that what my no moto number is and what my gate is. I don't know who's next to me, and especially with the gate pick now, you have no idea. So
No
I don't
idea.
know
Yeah.
who's next to me. I don't know what's going on. I know all of the fast girls are gonna be in the main, so I'm like, you gotta go out and you gotta do your thing. And so yeah, that definitely be it. And I try not to stress it because when you stress it and overthink it, that's when the race doesn't go the way you want it to go. So I'm just like, gotta do what I gotta do. You can't think about it. If you do,
Yeah.
that's when you mess up.
I love this because there's a lot of young writers that listen in. So it's good to hear you say you just kind of have to separate yourself and just do what you have to do. You know
Yeah.
the expectation. You have to be a top 8 writer to make that main gate. And if you're not, you're not. And if you are, you are. I
Yeah.
love that you know that going into it. Is there any going you said you had preparation from 15, 16 girls going into 17, 20.
Mhm.
Tell me about a day in the life of kind of your training, or maybe a week of the training, what your training schedule looks like now as a 17, 20 expert writer.
So I actually, my trainer, a lot of people know is Brandon Devo. I've been training with him for, I think, almost 10 years now.
Wow.
He used to I didn't always train with him in the gym or doing sprints or anything like that. It was just I went up to California and trained with him like one on one or whatever. But now I train with him in the gym and I do sprints. Every day is different. It kind of just depends on what I'm doing, but I'm doing gym twice a week. I'm doing sprints twice a week, and then all of the tracks in Vegas are usually always open, so you can pretty
Right.
much
Yeah.
ride whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So I'm
6 days
riding.
a week, there's a track open.
Yeah, I'm literally writing as much as I can. So every day's different though. It's not always the same. And then, like if you have a sickness or, you get hurt or whatever, it's gonna change up. But yeah.
Now, you did say you came out of Bakersfield not feeling very well. There's a lot of kids that listen. There's quite a few kids that have been hurt in recently that have been in the younger group. And I was just
Mhm.
wondering if you have any advice for them on how they can mentally get through things, physically get through things. What exactly would you say to them?
One of my biggest things is when I get hurt or I'm sick or something, and it's like I get stressed out because I'm like, but I need to train. Like I can't fall off. Honestly, listening to your body and letting your body heal is the best thing ever, because a lot of the time, even though like for me, I haven't rode in 3 weeks. Literally haven't touched the bike in 3 weeks. So a lot of the time, not riding and letting your body heal actually helps you so much more. Like I remember there was a time I was off for like 2 weeks and I got back on the bike and I felt so much faster. So that's how I knew. I'm
Love
like,
that.
letting your body rest is so important. Even though you don't want to, don't push yourself. Don't do it because it's only gonna make it worse.
See, and that's great that you listen to your body so well that you know it well enough that you need that rest.
I mean, us athletes, we put so much pressure on our bodies and we're always doing something that like you need to rest. Like it's so important, like focusing on each part of your body, you're like eating and drinking and all that. Like you have to listen to what you need to do, because at the end
Uh-huh.
of the day, you know your body better than anybody else.
And rest is a pivotal portion of
Yes,
recovery.
100%.
If you don't get enough rest and sleep, then you don't have that mental power or game to continue powering on to even
Exactly.
be on the level you need to be. So I 100% agree with you there, especially as a nurse. Like, I believe in the
Yeah.
power of rest. If you need to go take a nap, go take a nap. Let that
Yeah.
body heal. So I am all for that. So speaking of healing, you are a big proponent of helmet safety. Your gear of choice is 6D. You are known not just for your power and pace, but also for your proactive approach to safety. Why do you choose 60 helmets, and how do they compare to other brands?
So I've been on 60 for a really long time.
Sponsored by 60. Let's now, for the viewers that don't know, how
Yes.
long have you been sponsored by them?
I want to say, oh, I'm on helmet like number 10. Couple
Quite a
year
while.
couple years now. I couldn't tell you the first time I put a 6D on. It was a long time ago. But I remember I put the 6D on and it was just I loved the way it felt, just everything about it. I loved the way it felt. I'm pretty sure my first 6D was orange, of course, custom painted,
Yeah.
and it was I fell in love since then. I've loved it. I'm pretty sure it's proven to be one of the safest helmets out there. And so that's something that I will always stick by. And I've heard so many positive things about 60. Everybody loves 60. People that I know have put a 60 on, they fell in love with the 60. So I'll always be in a 60. It's my number one. But I just once I put the helmet on, I never took it off, and it's something I'll never switch or go away from. That's for sure.
Now, for our viewers that are watching, they use an ATR1 and an ATB1, which is a huge game changer. I'm a big fan of the MIPS helmets, but in comparison to a MIPS, the ATR and the ATB1s are very similar and
Hmm.
compose the same concept of trying to repurpose the motion of the brain once impact happens. So I love that you're a helmet safety girl. Like, I just love
Yeah,
it.
safety first always.
Safety first. Did your views on safety change after any crashes or near misses?
A lot of my friends are in flies, and what's crazy is a lot of my friends that are in flies that have crashed have gotten a concussion. I myself have never had a concussion. I have been through some pretty crazy crashes, but nothing has ever led me to a concussion. And I think the first thing that I myself and my parents think of when I crash is my head. And anytime I come off, the chip might be painted, damage might happen to the helmet, but that is so much better than it happening to your actual head. And the fact that I've been able to say that I've never had a concussion is probably insane, especially for how long I've been doing this sport for. But yeah, a lot of my friends that I know, they've gotten concussions, and even if their crashes weren't as bad as one that I've been through, it still has happened. And so I'll always pick 6D. 6D will always be my number one, and that is something that I don't think I will ever change.
It's a great choice. It's a great choice. So 60 helmets, I do want to touch on them. They use patented omnidirectional suspension, which is an ODS tech designed to reduce angular acceleration and low threshold impacts, two of the most common causes of mountain bikes and BMX related brain injuries. The ATB-1T and the ATR-1 Youth line have become go-tos for elite amateur riders in the US, and you are one of them. What would you say to younger riders wearing the cheap, uncertified helmets at the local track?
I would say that you only have one brain, and the second that something
Yes,
happens to
ma'am.
that brain, you're pretty much you're screwed for life. Like there's no going back, there's no fixing it. So always make sure that you are confident about what your head is in, because if something happens, it literally doesn't matter. You cannot do anything about it. And like it's
Exactly.
so scary to say, but it's the truth. Like there's
I know.
nothing, yeah, there's no change in that.
Frightening.
So make sure you're okay with what your head is in, and make sure that, because again, you don't know when you're going to crash. You don't plan a crash. So
Mhm.
when you crash, you got to hope that your head is protected, because that is the most important thing.
Amen. I love that. I'm such a proponent of helmet safety. I get so frustrated when I'm watching, even at home, when I'm watching national races now, and I still see a tech or somebody on the ambulance crew, they'll take the helmet off instantly. And I'm like, that's meant to stay in place to save the brain. Like, I just
Yeah.
wish I know I've been very mouthy on calling USA BMX out on their lack of helmet safety. And so I'll save that discussion for a whole nother day. But I am a very big proponent of protecting your brain and knowing that it is the only one you have. And if you're going to invest so much in these children and have this huge sanction, safety of a helmet should be included. And
100%.
I really feel like USA BMX is slacking in that department. And so it's really nice to see athletes like you continue to bring it to the forefront and to continue to bring positivity to helmet safety, because it's only going to allow more discussion for it and more growth for it and room for
Percent.
USA BMX to make better decisions about helmet safety.
Yeah,
So I want to thank you for that
of
immensely,
course.
especially as a parent.
Biggest thing, and my parents are really big on it, so it's just, you only got one brain, don't make dumb decisions.
Yep, exactly. So I do want to take a transition from your impact racing career to your independence, which is what we've titled this entire episode about. I want to walk through the decision to leave impact racing after so many seasons. You were a vet, in my opinion, on that team. And so I'd like you to take your time, and I'd like you to kind of walk us through that decision on what it was like to leave impact.
So the biggest thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, but I didn't leave Impact. I was actually kicked off. Before Impact, I was never on a team. I was always by myself. So I had a couple of teams ask, like, talk to my parents, because I was young at the time. They would ask, like, oh, does she want to be a part of this team? And I was always so anti-team. I did not want to be on a team. I just wanted to be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my parents had gotten asked multiple times about Impact, and my parents were like, no, no, she doesn't want to, like, she doesn't like it. Well, finally they had asked, and I think my parents were like, all right, we're gonna let her make the decision. So when I found out that I was asked to be on the team, at first I was like, no. But then my parents were like, well, think about it. Like, think about it. And so what I did is I grabbed a notebook and I literally wrote out the pros and the cons of being on a
Wow.
team.
Good for you.
And I think the pros were like, oh, something different, like something exciting, whatever. And the cons were, um n- leaving, not being able to have as much orange on me, and then
Okay.
my helmet.
Yeah.
So I think we finally decided to like let's talk to them about being on Impact. And my two non-negotiables were I had to have some type of org on me. That was always my thing, and I didn't want to join a team unless I could have that. And then I would always be in a 60 helmet. And we came to an agreement. And I was on the team for a long time. I mean, they literally put orange on all of the Impact jerseys because everybody liked how my orange on my jersey looked, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And so I had been on Impact for I think 6 years. And then just this last year, there was a new rule. And in order to be on Impact, I had to be in a fly. Well, like I said, I only joined because I was allowed to be in that 6D. So once I found out that I had to be in a fly, there were a lot of arguments and a lot of things said. I had been so like being on Impact, I was so happy being on Impact. And so the thought of even having to leave Impact, I think it was just upsetting and I didn't know how to like think about it. And and so I didn't really know what to do. And my parents, they were like, You're not going to a fly. Like you can't." And
No
I
way.
I was like, I think I started to kind of disagree with them. I was like, "Oh, but it's fine, blah, blah," because I wanted to be on Impact so bad. So finally, I had actually received a text message in a group chat with my mom and my dad, and I won't say any names, but I did just find out that the person I received this message from wasn't the one that actually texted this message.
Wow.
And it was basically saying that because I'm not willing to go into a fly, that I'm off the team. And when I had received this message, I was just like, whoa. Number one, over text message is insane. And number two, like to be able to let someone go like that, like what? So I didn't know how to feel. I was of course upset. I mean, I had been on that
Naturally.
team since literally 2 months after it started.
You are one of the ones that I believe you have an original Impact jersey.
I do. I have an original Impact jersey, and so yeah, when I had found out, I was super upset. And my parents, they were there for me. They understood that I was upset. I mean, how could they not? I was on that team for so long.
Yeah.
But I think I became most upset when I had to post on Instagram that I was off because once I had clicked post and I was getting these likes and these comments, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's real. Like I'm off.
Yeah.
But as time has gone by, I would honestly say it is probably one of the best, most free feelings I have ever felt in my life.
I was just gonna say, what did the departure teach you about loyalty, pressure, personal growth in BMX? Tell me about that.
One of the biggest things, and I know you have actually mentioned this to social media, is that the jersey you are in does not matter. It literally doesn't
Amen.
matter. It does not define who you are. I feel like being off of the team and doing my own thing, I feel like I have so much more freedom. I feel like I can focus so much more on myself. I don't have to worry about team drama. Literally has been one of the best feelings ever, and I'm glad. I guess I can say I'm glad somebody else made that decision for me because it was the best thing that somebody could have done for me. I can't even express how happy I am just to be on my own.
No pun intended, but that was really impactful.
Yeah.
I just have to say. I mean, impactful. From impact to independence, 100%. And you are thriving. You are thriving. You are showing people that it really, truly doesn't matter. And I have said this before on social media, what you wear and the name on the front of your jersey and the number on your back has no indication of the type of rider that you are. It's how you ride your
Exactly.
bike. It's what you want to ride your bike. And it's how you have fun. It's what you should, that's the only thing that you should be thinking about is having fun. And if you're great at it, cool. If you're not, cool. Like,
Yeah.
as long as you're safe, that's all that matters. Like, safe and having fun is all that matters. And so I'm
Yeah.
really proud of you for sharing that part of your story. I know that there has
Of
been quite a
course.
bit of misconception and your side has not been shared. So I'm really proud of you for
Yeah, I
sharing that.
definitely think it was. I mean, I know everybody thinks I had left because of how I posted on Instagram, but when I had posted it on Instagram, I didn't like I was still so upset. I didn't want to be rude. But then Now that the things that I hear and just what's going on, I don't even care. Like what had happened, I have been kicked off. I don't know what story people have here. I don't know what other people are telling people. I have been kicked off, and I know I made it very unclear in my Instagram post because even the people that even some of the girls I raced, they're like, "Why'd you leave Impact?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't. I got kicked off."
You're
So
setting the
yeah,
record straight now, so that's all that matters. So I'm
yeah.
so proud of you for that.
Thank
Take
you.
It's growth, and it shows that the independence has impacted your career and your confidence tremendously. And
100%.
I just can't say how proud I am of you for taking this leap. I mean,
Thank you.
you are right when saying that somebody made the decision for you, but it's the best leap that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, 100%.
You've really grown so much. Now, with the independence, and how much has that impacted your performance and confidence on the gate?
Honestly, well, all of the girls I race, I feel like everybody has a team jersey on. And
Mhm.
when I'm in the gate and I wear two jerseys. So I'm always in one of
Yeah,
those two jerseys. And just knowing that I'm not in a team jersey, I know that there could be a lot more eyes on me. I know that people could be paying a lot more attention. But I know at the end of the day that it doesn't matter and that I have to do what I have to do. I know that I've worked hard. I know that I've trained. I know what I came to the race to do. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it. I don't care what jersey I'm in. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's as much as it's a team sport, it's an individual sport. You're doing everything for yourself. Even if you're riding for a team, you're doing it for yourself. And so now all I can do is focus on myself and just become better and grow as an athlete.
yeah, I love that. Is there any of the teammates that you do still keep in touch with on Impact, or any of the authoritative figures at Impact that you keep in touch with, or have you cut all ties?
So, as a lot of people know, my boyfriend Brayden is on Impact, so I'm still talking to him, of course. I mean, all of my best friends were on Impact, so I haven't cut ties with anybody. I mean, I still talk to them. So all my friends, a lot of my friends, and Impact is it's a Vegas team, so I see them all the time. So
Exactly.
I still talk to all of the riders on Impact.
Good for you.
Nothing's changed. Yeah,
Good for you. I'm glad that you're still able to maintain that level of maturity,
yeah.
because I know that sometimes that's not always reciprocated.
Yeah, well, because I wasn't the one to decide of my departure from Impact, I wasn't just gonna all of a sudden just not talk to my friends. Like
Exactly.
I still talk to them and they all still consider me family. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's the best
100%.
part.
Yeah, BMX is a community of family. I mean, once you're in there, you're family forever. So I
Exactly.
want to hop over and do some rapid BMX. Like, let's hit the throttle with this one. Answer as fast as you can. No deep thinking. Favorite track in the country?
Locally, Whitney, nationally, I would say Bakersfield.
Ooh, good one.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Grit or grace, what wins a race?
Confidence.
Good for you. Okay.
Yes,
Other than
confidence.
that, is there anything when you're on the gate? I asked True this, and I always thought it was, I wanted to get a girl perspective. When you're on the gate, do you have any rituals that you do every time, or is it different every time you lock in?
Well, okay, so when I'm in staging, I have elbow pads and knee pads. I always pull them up a certain way. I always adjust my helmet. Like I just adjust everything.
Mhm.
And then once I'm in the gate, I'm just locked in. I'm just there.
Right.
I don't really I don't say anything. I don't really think about anything. I'm just thinking about myself and I'm just going to do what I have to do. That's for sure.
Now, right now, while you're on the gate, do you have an ultimate rival?
My biggest rival right now would be Alexis, and that's kind of funny because Alexis is also known to be my best friend, but she
I was
is
gonna say you two are close.
probably the hardest competition out there right now. Riding with each other since I think since the beginning.
Yeah.
I met Brandon Devo through her. So she introduced me to Brandon. And so all three of us have always just been so connected. And then me and Alexis have just grown up with each other. And like I said, when you're on the track, you're not friends, but the second we're off the track, we're best friends again.
It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter what those 40 seconds on the track do, because
Exactly.
after that is what really matters, the core of your family, and those 40 seconds are just 40 seconds of fun. So,
Exactly.
okay, music you blast before the motos or before the races, what's your go-to music?
Anything Drake.
Anything Drake? Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, flat pedals or clip-ins?
Clips.
I know, right?
I'm so bad on flats. I
I
remember
know.
one time I've always been on clips. I never had to like do that transition of going back.
Yeah,
So, but I remember one time I went to flats and I was just like, oh, this is embarrassing. I
I
can't do
know.
flats. Well, I
Separate.
give all props to people that had to race flats because I could not do it.
Right. I agree. Okay, so track snack or post-race treat?
Ooh, I feel like anytime I come off the track, I'm eating some type of chips. It's like I'm
Yeah?
always into some type of chips, whether it's goldfish, Cheez-Its, pretzels. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
eating chips. Probably not the best, but I mean, it's good.
Do you have a post-weekend meal that you like to go to? Like, once racing is all done, what do you like to eat?
Honestly, whatever, but usually depend like whatever state we're in and whatever that like state is most famous for, I feel like we're always going to get that. So like if it's famous for
Definitely.
barbecue, we're getting barbecue. If like in Louisiana, we'll go and we'll get crawfish. So I think it
Mhm.
always just depends on where we're at.
I think that's one of the great things about BMX is that you get to see the country and experience the culture of the country while you're doing what you love. So I think it's amazing. Okay, what do you like to flex if you win?
Okay, so I noticed this was it was actually after my first class when I come across the finish line, I'll like pick up my bike and I'll like jump across the finish line with my like still being on the bike. That's what I do. I don't know why I do it, but I always do that.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit into the road ahead before we did quite a bit of a Q&A on Instagram. We got quite a bit of questions. I'm pretty
Wow.
happy with them as well. So before we dive into that Q&A, let's talk about the road ahead and what does the rest of 2025 look like for Lilee Rowley, independent rider?
So right now, my next upcoming nationals, Idaho. Of course, Grands at the end of the year. Anything in
Yes.
between that, I'm not really sure. But as a BMX racer, I think the biggest thing is always going pro. So eventually, that is something that I'm going to consider and step into. Not yet,
Not
but
yet.
it'll come across soon. So I guess we'll see.
I can't wait to hear that announcement. That'll be a great day for you. You talked
Yes.
about racing grands. So, what would a title mean this year for you, and how does it feel to put one in reach?
A title, I mean, I think I would literally cry. Like, that would be the greatest thing ever. I've gotten nag plate after nag plate. Seeing a nag one, a national one, a rock one, I mean, anything at that point, like, that'd be crazy. And going into grands, like, as much as people are like, oh, there's the fast riders, there's the slow riders, literally anything can happen at grands. I mean, we've seen everything happen at grands. So, you go into grands, you could go in nag 15 and you could come out nag 1.
Exactly.
You never know.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, all these nationals and everything counts. All the points count. The local
Mhm.
races, all those count. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
I'm excited to watch. We'll definitely touch base and have to do a recap episode after 2025 and touch base
Yes.
on all the goals and see how you achieve them. So, now, since you were on a team so long and now you're doing solo, are you open to ever joining a team again, or do you think you're going to stay solo for now?
For right now, I'm definitely choosing to stay solo. I've had some team offers, but I'm just not ready to commit to anything yet. I mean, I was on Impact longer than I was off of Impact, and so I think right now just being on my own is just the best thing that I can do for myself. I'm obviously willing to, I'm willing to be open to offers and, sponsorships and all that stuff, but I'm just not ready to commit to anything.
Yeah, brand that orange crush, girl.
Yes,
Brand that orange
always,
crush. I love that.
always.
So tell me how you want to be remembered as a rider by the other girls in the sport.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is I've always been little. And
Mhm.
so because I was always, I would say, at a disadvantage for being little, I would always just have to like pedal as fast as I can. So I want to be remembered as the small girl that was always just such a fast pedaler. And I feel like right now that's who I am. I mean, everybody knows I'm a spinner. So
Yes, you
when I'm
are.
on the track, I'm always just the littlest one and I'm always like spinning. So that's something
Legs
I
are
want to be
going,
remembered
girl.
as. Yes.
Those legs are going. I love that. That's so good to be remembered as. So I do want to talk a little bit about mindset, pressure, and recovery. So again, we talked about how you have a little bit of cold coming back from Bakersfield. What helps you bounce back from a loss or a crash, possibly physically?
Physically, I mean, like I said, you have to let your body heal and you have to listen to yourself. But honestly, like just knowing what's best for you, you can't, I mean, if you get hurt, you can't go straight to the gym or straight to the track. Like you gotta allow yourself to recover. But I listen to my body. I know when I'm ready to go back to the gym or I'm ready to go back and do sprints. And of course, my coach Brandon Devo, he's always helping me. I'm always asking him for advice and him for questions, and he knows what's best for me as well. So I talk to him a lot about that type of stuff, and we'll always decide on what I should do next.
That's always good. I love that you have a mental strategist as well, not just someone that
Mhm.
you physically can talk to, because this game is very mental and you
Yeah.
have to address that and touch on that. What mental health advice do you think BMX riders don't hear enough and they should hear more of?
Oh, mental health advice. Well, everybody knows BMX it's more mental than it is physical because you could be physically ready, but if you're not mentally ready, you're not going to perform. So, just making sure that with your mental health, just making sure that you're confident in yourself, making sure that you just making sure that you're ready. And at the end of the day, I just feel like people stress and overthink the sport so much, and that will mentally bring you down. I remember there was a time where I was just mentally not there. I was stressed out. I wanted to quit. But you just got to give yourself the time, and you just got to listen to your body. I mean, it's nobody's going to be able to tell you what you can do. You're going to have to tell yourself. So just don't
Exactly.
overthink everything. Don't be stressed out. Everyone's going through the same thing, too.
Uh-huh.
Like, especially in racing, like everybody's nervous, everybody's stressed out, everybody's overthinking it, but you have to be the one person to literally just relax and just know that it's like you said, it's 40 seconds of fun on the track. That's all you're
Exactly.
doing. So don't
Exactly.
overthink it at all.
I love that. Okay, so let's hop into some questions. We did get quite a few. So I've got about 5 or 6 that I want to ask you. So it says, say the word and she will immediately know what it means. And the word is oasis.
Well, that's Cole Floyd. We
It
went
is
to
Cole.
we went to Oasis one time and we were all in our trailers and it was literally one of the funnest weekends ever. So yes, that's Cole.
I love
Yeah.
that. So it was able to trigger a good memory for you. Okay,
Yes.
Cole, bravo. You did a good job. But I was nervous. I was like, am I going to have to cut this, Cole? Like, what is this? Okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm glad you had a good.
Yeah, but yeah, I immediately knew.
Okay, so these are some good ones. We do have some intense ones, so we're going to dive into those. What's the biggest misconception that people have with BMX racing?
Okay. So I think the biggest misconception, definitely the parents, because I think a lot of the times, I mean, when you come off the track and you know you had a bad race and your parent yells at you, it makes it so much worse. It's like I already know. Like I just rode the race. So I think the parents being hard on their kids can definitely be one of the worst things ever, especially because you already know what you did wrong. I don't need to come off the track and I don't need to be yelled at. And that's when a lot of the kids quit or don't want to like do it anymore because they're like it's just too stressful. Like you're stressing it out more than I'm stressing it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Would
So
you
yeah,
have any
definitely
advice for parents that you would give?
when your kid comes off the track and you know that they did bad, I promise you they know that they did bad too. Because a
Very
lot of the
true.
times coming off the track, all you want to do is be by yourself. You don't want to get yelled at by your parent. You don't want to hear about the 47 things you did wrong on the track. You just
Uh-huh.
want to be by yourself because a lot of the times when you're by yourself, you can focus, you can breathe, and if you got to go back out there, you got to go back out there. So you got to focus on yourself and then you got to get ready for
Right.
the next one. So just let
Exactly.
your kid be rather than haunting them and upsetting them
No
even more.
helicopter.
Yes.
No helicopter parenting allowed at BMX.
Yes.
Okay, so another question. In main events, what's the one thing about your approach that never changes?
Well, my approach, well, like I said, I'll get ready in staging, like I will do what I have to do, but then a lot of people know me for my gait, so I always go into the race knowing that I have such a good gait, and I'm like, if I can get a good gait, and depending, because with the gait picks, you don't know, so depending
Yeah.
on what gait I have, I just have to get out and I just have to go. But like knowing my gaits, and a lot of people know this, and I'm not trying to sound like cocky or anything like that, like just knowing my gaits are
No,
as good as
girl.
they are.
Rock
I
it.
just going into the main, I'm like, that actually makes me less stressed. I'm like, good gait
Good.
and you can get over. And with the competition being so hard, you can't overthink it. You gotta do what you gotta do. anything can happen in that main event. So
That you believe in it's not cocky, it's believing in your confidence and your abilities. You know that you have a good gait and you use it to your advantage. You're not going to let it go by and be
100%.
past you.
No.
I love that. Play into it, use it. Like,
Mhm.
I build on that. Like, that one is what people need to hear 100%.
Even if I get like fourth or fifth or whatever I get in the main, I'll go back and I'll watch it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just won out of the gate. What happened?
Yep.
But yeah,
Hey,
my gates are
that's all part of the
always
process. I love that. Even going
100%.
back and
Yeah.
doing the track review, that's a huge part of
Hmm.
knowing and learning and growing and making sure that you can advance your game.
Yes.
So, okay, another question, last one on the question round. So it says, explain to us the importance of recovery before a national event weekend.
Ooh, so recovery is, of course, the most important thing when it comes to like the week of a national. Some people, I don't know how people are doing this, but some people are at the track every day, they're in the gym, they're doing sprints, and I'm like, you leave for a national the next day. What are you doing?
Hmm.
But me, my coach, he'll give me what I need to do. And it's always just very subtle. It's always focusing on allowing my body to heal before the race because you're not going to get faster 3 days before a race. So
Exactly.
I make sure my legs are ready. I make sure I'm ready. And you just have to, I'm always mentally and physically ready for anything. And so when you're recovered and you're calm, that's when you have the best race weekend. So
I
you have
love
to let your
that.
body recover before and after.
I love that. And I want to let you know that majority of these questions came from your coach, Brandon Devo.
Oh my God.
So you can thank
He
him.
tested me.
He did. He did. He put you through the ringer and you passed, girlfriend. You did great, flying colors. So
Thanks,
no,
Brandon.
yeah, Brandon, you can have a chat with him later. But yeah, no, I wanted to let you know that he was paying attention. He was listening. So he
That's
pulled
funny.
some good stuff out of you too. So I'm proud of you. So before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to talk about again about leaving impact or how you're doing right now? Anything you want to give out to the viewers that are listening right now?
Leaving Impact or getting kicked off at Impact. Let me rephrase that. You know, it happened. It was hard at first, but now I'm realizing how much more important I am than I felt when I was on the team. So, I mean, everybody at least should know the story of Impact, and if there's questions, I'm always willing to answer. But now, just being independent and being on my own, I'd say I feel like I'm doing the best that I can. I just did really good in Bakersfield with the competition that we just had. So
Mhm.
I'm really confident and I've just been letting my body heal because of the sickness that I've been going through and you know, just every day I'm pushing myself to accomplish the goals that I set for myself. You know, you just got to see what happens. There's so much more life and so much more ahead that I'm not even stressing what happened.
I love that, Lily. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us. It was an
Of
absolute
course.
pleasure to have you here. So from crushing gates to crushing expectations, Lilee Rowley is proof that independence in this sport can lead to the most powerful kind of growth. She's rewriting what it looks like to leave a team, hold your ground, and still fly through finish lines with focus and grit. Whether she's on the podium or in the pits, Lily's ride is her own. And here at Fast Paced Lace, we'll always be at the finish line cheering her on. So tap in for another unfiltered story of athletes doing their most next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. And we'll also share Lily's Instagram as well, so you can follow up with her, where we don't just watch the race, we ride with it. So stay laced.